Chapter 5. Seabird learns about whales. And so the Seabird came to live with Ezra. Day after day, while the ship worked southward, she soared beside him at the masthead. One bright morning he cried, "Look yonder, Seabird, that fountain of mist on the sea!" And cupping his hands he called loudly, "There she blows, a right whale!" "Where away?" bawled the skipper. "Larboard beam, 1 mile!" yelled Ezra. Men scurried about on deck like startled chickens. Creaking ropes lowered 3 slender whaleboats. Long oars sped them away. "Look at 'em go, Seabird," laughed Ezra. "We sure made 'em race for that whale. But shucks, what do you know about whales? They live in the sea, yet they aren't fish. They're animals, giving milk to their young like cows. If they didn't blow at the surface and take a new breath, they'd drown." "Oh, how now?" called the captain, and Ezra answered, "Whale asleep on the surface. Whaleboats racing steady, 3rd mate in the lead." "All the whales," he continued, "add up to just 2 kinds, those with and those without teeth. Sperm whales have teeth, big as oversized cucumbers. They feed deep down along sea bottom, chomping the wiggly tentacles of giant squid." "Where now?" yelled the skipper. Ezra squinted hard through a battered telescope before answering. "Almost there." "Whales without teeth," the boy went on, "are whalebone whales, with stiff, springy curtains hanging down their mouths like giant feathers. Your teetering rod, Seabird, is made of this whalebone. Whaleboners, like that right whale they're chasing now, eat shrimpy little creatures called brit. The whale plows the surface, mouth wide open. Brit snags against his whalebone feathers. The water drains out, and old whale gumps a bushel of brit at a time." "Ain't they there yet?" bellowed the captain. "Yes, sir! Going on the whale!" At those words, men swarmed into the rigging. Chapter 6. A Nantucket Sleigh Ride. The winning whaleboat was going on the whale. The 3rd mate steered at the stern. His crewman gave one mighty stroke, stopped rowing, and the slender craft shot forward without a sound. At the bow, a man laid his oar aside and stood up. He leaned his left leg in a rounded notch to steady himself. He tore off his mittens, rubbing his fingers nervously, and stared ahead, a harpooner, awaiting the final order. The whaleboat drifted toward a dark bulk which wallowed in the swell like an overturned schooner. Its back made a narrow island glistening in the sea. "Give it to him!" yelped the 3rd mate. The man at the bow swooped to the right, grabbed a harpoon from its rack, and heaved it straight at the shining island. He snatched a second harpoon and drove it overboard. Then he seemed to flee for his life. He scrambled the length of the rocking whaleboat. Gaining the stern, he wrenched the steering oar from the mate who lurched madly toward the bow. The 2 men seemed to be frantic people changing gulls in a crazy game. Then the right whale's huge tail flukes arose from the boiling sea. They towered like a giant's club and crashed down. "Fuss and foam!" cried Ezra at the masthead. "Seabird, those flukes just missed 'em. But heck, I bet your coral eyes can see better than the spyglass even. You saw harpooner gan both irons, and mate changing places with him? Ah, you fool custom that, changing seats in a rockin' rowboat. But 'tis this way. One man spears a whale, then steers. The other steered the boat first, and kills the whale later with a long lance. Sort of evens up the dignity at both ends. Look, Seabird, whale's running like a scared colt across the sea, towing the boat like a sled, with foamy suds for snow. "What now?" the skipper bellowed from below. "You asleep up there?" "Run away!" yelled Ezra quickly. "Nantucket sleigh ride!" Chapter 7. A Galloping Fish Pole. "This whaling must puzzle you a heap, Seabird," said Ezra. "But it's simple. That whaleboat out there is really a galloping fish pole. The pole's line is no thicker than a thumb and floppy as an old shoelace, but it can hoist 2 wagon loads of hay and not bust. It's coiled neat in one tub till that's full, then it leaps over to fill another tub. Next it runs aft for a turn or two around the loggerhead post, and then forward out a notch in the bow to the 2 harpoons. When the struck whale runs, the whale line fairly smokes around that loggerhead post. Men slosh it with seawater so it won't catch fire with the friction. They snub it tighter around the post till the boat gets underway without a jerk. When the whale stops to rest, they haul in the line and coil it again, like winding up a fish line on a reel, you see. Then the rod and the traveling fishermen are all set for the next rush. This sort of thing can go on day and night sometimes, but when the beast is plumb tuckered, the boatmaster leans over the gunwale and finishes him off with a long lance. "Coming this way!" yelled someone. "They'll crash on that floating ice!" "No, they won't!" bawled a loud voice. "The man at the stern is not only a smart harpooner, he's a mighty smart boat steerer, too." The whales dashed through a few ice cakes, gave the boat steerer the chance of a lifetime to show off before the whole ship. He steered the craft in fancy swoops among jagged white islands. It danced through danger. Ezra laid aside his telescope. He looked down on upturned faces in the craft speeding past. The shipboard audience roared and waved, and the whaleman answered. The boat steerer even took one hand from his oar to wave wildly. "Didn't I tell you he was a smart?" began the loud voice. Ezra heard a ripping crash. The whaleboat dissolved around one lonely ice cake. The end of the whale line whipped from the shattered bow and sank into the sea. Chapter 8. Fin Out. "Man overboard!" yelled the crew, then fell silent as the captain cried, "Smart were they! I'll smart 'em!" A boat was lowered and sped toward the men clinging to oars and tubs. That water was cold. Ezra shivered. The Seabird tilted, touching his cap with a wingtip. "Yep, I know what you're saying. Skipper's mad, and we're lucky not to be near him. But look, Will's running blind-like between the other 2 boats. Can they? Yep, both boats struck the whale. He's sounding!" The crew raced for the rigging again, and the captain with them. He said nothing when the 6 half-drowned men returned. Ezra watched the distant boats, waiting for the whale to come up. He also watched the captain below him. The old man climbed slowly, pausing now and then to gaze thoughtfully out to sea. After what seemed ages, he reached the masthead. "Whale's been down a half hour," he said. "Tired and sore wounded. I say he'll breach surface in 20 minutes. What say you, boy?" "Well, sir," stammered Ezra, "I'd have said 5. "Disagree with me, eh? Wanna bet? If your 5 minutes win, you'll have supper some night with me in my cabin. Does the whale breach near 20 minutes? You'll stand extra watch for a week. Mind, you don't have to take the bet." "I'll take it, sir," said Ezra. The captain looked at his watch. The boy clung to his wobbling telescope. He felt like a fool for daring to wager with the old man. He sweated. He squirmed. Years seemed to roll over him. He saw spots. Or was it a whale against the sky? "Breachin'!" he shrieked. "But beg pardon, sir, he's come up." "Aye," said the skipper, watching the soaring Seabird and almost smiling. "And his flukes are lashing the sea to foam with his fury. But not for long. He's played out. They'll lance him soon. Tiny men will kill a mighty whale, and he'll die on his side, fin out of water. Let's see, 5-6 minutes it was. You in fair. A supper. Look alive below! Help tow in that whale!" Chapter 9. Cutting In. The Seabird soared at the masthead in a cloud of greasy black smoke. "No, the ship's not afire," coughed Ezra beside her. "That's the try-works on the deck, heatin' 2 big iron kettles, boilin' whale oil out of blubber. Why? So that candles and whale oil lamps can light the world. Funny, isn't it? Bright lamplight fished up from the cold, dark depths of the sea. Look, the dead whale floats alongside our ship. They're peeling him in one long strip, wide as a man is tall and thick as his body. See, they slip a huge iron hook through a hole in the hide. Hear the windlass squealing as the tackle hoists the hook. Over we go, tipped toward the whale by the strain of pulling. Now look straight down. Men are poking the white blubber loose with sharp irons like oars. In a second, 10 more feet of hide will come away sudden. Hold tight, Seabird!" Ezra clung to the mast while Seabird circled madly. "You'll get used to it," laughed the boy. "This cutting in is like unrolling a heavy carpet. The carcass flops over as the hide comes loose and rocks the ship. A greasy mess it is, chopping up that hide for the tripods. Big squares first, then fence post sizes, then long loaves of bread. Watch 'em cutting these down to the skin, like leaving thick bread slices hanging to a leathery bottom crust. The white blubber melts into whale oil in the kettles, but the skin pieces bob around like twisted strips of bacon rind. They fish that out and toss the chunks into the fire. It makes hot flames and all the sooty smoke. Yep, Seabird, in middle of an ocean, far from wood or coal, a whale's hide boils out its own oil. But they'll boil me if I don't get below and help. You stay up here and keep your coral eyes open." Clouds of squalling gulls circled the ship, puzzled by a smaller gull which clung to one of the masts. The silent Seabird soared aloof, while the others dove for scraps around the derelict whale.